Just about 3 minutes before the hour of 7 o'clock. Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. And we're keeping the focus on Tobago because today is Tobago Thursday. And because school would have reopened on Monday, not a lot of students went out, especially as it relates to Scarborough Secondary, but now they are back out. And we're checking in with Bradon Roberts, who is the Tobago officer of the TNT Unified Teachers Association, just to get an update on Scarborough and other schools that may still be under repairs. Mr. Roberts, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Now.
Good morning to your team and good morning to your viewers.
Yeah, let's go to Scarborough one time. We are doing Scarborough because the last update I got was that there was a fence that I think they constructed. So let's deal with Scarborough because I know that's one of the very challenging schools in Tobago. Has it been reopened and is it open to full capacity?
It has reopened on Monday. The actions of the PTA would have been to have the students remain at home. The action would have indeed prompted urgent response from the division, and unfortunately, our politicians wait until they are publicly embarrassed before they act. So we would have had Sunday evening where the contractors would have done significant amount of the work in terms of the perimeter fencing, and they would have finalized or finished up some of those works on the Monday. So parents would have been satisfied with that initial action from the division, and students are back out. However, Scarborough Secondary School continues to have a lot of issues. The location in itself would result in the division spending a lot of money throughout the year, every year. So the new school is really what needs to take place. I believe even the action of the PTA is to also highlight the need for the new school because there are several other issues. There isn't a fire extinguisher, the fire detection system is not up and running. They are lacking fire extinguishers. So there are several other issues at the school in itself. But the actions of the PTA for Monday would have brought the results that we desired.
Yeah. Now, I know Scarborough Secondary is one of the ones that they are plagued with a lot of issues, but they also came under a lot of controversy back in 2019. The students and the teachers protested that they wanted new accommodation. Do we see this taking place at all, where the school can be moved to another location, or is it that we're just going to be keep doing updates or upgrades on this particular building?
Well, Scarborough Secondary School has been a political football. So we have the different administration giving the promise of this new school. We have land being earmarked as that is the land where the school will be built, and then the land is changing, and then there is no confirmation as to where the school will be built, more than verbal submissions from the assembly. We have the feasibility study to be done on whichever land that they identify. We don't know who will be financing, but in order to know what financing you need, a design needs to be done. I am now hearing that IEDCUT would be the ones doing that design now, although there was a design committee set up in the past. So we are hearing submissions from our politicians, and they do what they do best. They tell the public things to comfort them. But we're not seeing the actions about a new school. So to say in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years there are going to be a new school, unless we continue to advocate strongly, I don't see it happening in the near future.
Yeah. And as it stands in Tobago, Mr. Roberts, are there any other schools that have not been reopened as yet or that have not been reopened to full capacity?
Well, we know how we make sure all schools are open. All schools will have eventually been open, I believe, as of yesterday. However, teaching is not able to take place at Palativia as they still had the restructuring and cleaning up to do as the workmen finished, I believe, late Tuesday evening. I'm not certain as to when Mount St. George will have started full capacity as they had some significant setback as well. They did not open on Monday. We have Goodwood Methodist. Well, they would have reopened, but they will have reopened with challenges. They were dismissed early yesterday because of plumbing issues. They have issues with water. So schools, and it's not this year only, we see all schools are open, but they open with challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So there are several schools that the principals are not pleased at all, and we continue to make our wrongs each day. Our teachers are very upset. We try to keep them from the immediate refusal to work because that's one of the things that our teachers can utilize.
Yeah.
Health and safety we cannot compromise. So as we go throughout this week and we liaise with the division, because we are trying our very best to work with them. By next week, I'm not certain how much tolerant we can be in terms of working in unsafe and unsanitary conditions because even St. Andrew's School, I went to that school on Tuesday And if my son was going to the school, he would have been home for some time because the school is untidy. It's a lot of rubbles there to be carted away. It needs a deep cleaning. Deeply, some of the toilets are not functional. They are leaking. Some of the seats are missing from the toilets. I don't know if they did any work at St. Andrews at all, more than wiping the mold off the wall.
Yeah. Mr. Roberts, I have to ask though, is this affecting turnout in any way, shape, or form? For example, because I know parents get frustrated when they try to send their children to school. Maybe some of the wings are still closed, etc. So, are students turning out? Are teachers turning out? Or eventually, will this affect the capacity that we see in the schools?
Well, in the main, I don't know that teachers or students are not coming out. They will come out, and those who are not coming out are not coming out for various reasons. I know that some parents are yet to get the school uniform and the books and so on for whatever challenges they have personally. So there are other challenges that play a role. However, persons know that the September to December term is a critical term, so they try their very best to maximize. However, it is indeed frustrating that you're coming out with these hiccups, and it's every year, and the frustration really is it's an every year thing. We're hoping to get it right. So the moral may not be high, but our teachers are out giving the best that they can, and I see that the students are coming out, those who have their school books and their uniform and all those things in place.
Yeah. And do you expect the ongoing repairs to affect the children's performance in school?
I wouldn't blame it on the repairs. Our curriculum needs significant restructuring, but the repairs is really it's truly a distraction. It's a setback, a day loss, half an hour loss in teaching, especially where we have a robust curriculum to fit into a short time frame with all the other things. We have carnival, we have the tourism competition, agri competition, and competition is not as it should be in our schools. Competition is where you pull a few persons and drill them for a showing, so we lose a lot of time. We have the football season, and which is the September to December. We lose a lot of teaching time.
Yeah.
So it's not only the infrastructure issues, but curriculum needs to be reformed in such a way where it's more meaningful to our students. So yes, our education system, inclusive of the infrastructural issues, is not allowing us to really impact society as we want to, and we've seen the results in the crime rates.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you mentioned, the curriculum, of course, I have to bring in Secretary Hackett here. Have you spoken to her about the curriculum, one, or have you gotten an update from her as it relates to the repairs, especially the late repairs as school was opening and some of these schools still had to be upgraded?
We would have had conversations. In terms of the curriculum, I in recent past in my interviews, I do indicate that I try to not even mention it anymore. We would have had the promise of the Tobago centric thing, and I'm not saying anything about it. So I would just want to give it a little rest for now, and still advocate behind the scenes at the division meetings for something to be
Yes.
done,
Yes.
but I'm not seeing anything more than that submission that came to the public that they're going to work on this thing. And I'm not seeing anything about it at all. In
Yes.
terms of the infrastructural issues, yes, they would have explained the challenges, the procurement procedure, the financing, which I could understand. But some of these things, or these things did not come to your attention in July or in August or August month 10. So the excuses are a dime a dozen, and we try our best to work with them. And they are not pleased when Twitter come out and make the noise, you know, but when you don't pressure politicians, they promise and we are left wanting. So while we maintain the relationship as best as possible, the advocacy is what really, to me, pushing things being done.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the excuses, Mr. Roberts, and I know that you can go on with them, but can you share at least two or three that you have heard as it relates to the repairs at the school?
Well, the main ones that they are leading with is the financial challenges, and they did not know that they had financial challenges in July and August. They knew that from before. The procurement procedure that would have been changed, they indicated that contractors took a while to come onto the new procurement system. So it took a long time for them to be able to have the tendering process go through as it should, which is an excuse to me having picked IED cut to run the program does not really hold true as a viable excuse.
Mm.
We also have the submission that when they go to some of the schools, they are discovering other things that weren't highlighted. But if you do your preparation before the third term ends, you're not going to just bank on what someone still needs to be done. There was this talk about artisan team that will be monitoring schools throughout the school year. Typical politicians, we say things and don't follow through with it. So those excuses that they are giving now, if we are prepared, we won't be able to get them at the end. But there's one belief I have to as politicians to stay prominent. You deceive the people as best as you can. I don't know that we are actually doing the work and showing our worth so that our voters have a true sense of what they're voting for. It's more of the who have the better speech.
Mm. And in terms of any updates from EID cut, have they spoken to tutor or do they normally go through Secretary Hackett?
I don't know who is supervising who at this time. I know that there's, based on the feedback I'm getting, there's challenge with communication. Not the contractors don't liaise directly with the union. However, seeking feedback on certain things suggests that even the communication within the division and IAD cut and who really managing and where the follow up is really taking place does not seem to be clear cut.
Right.
So there seems to be challenges, and a lot of the things, when they come to my attention, I bring it to the division. The reaction is as if we are actually informing them of these additional challenges. So I'm not certain how the communication is taking place. As we know, the repair program is rushed and it started very late. So the communication is really a challenge in addressing a lot of the issues.
Yeah. And Mr. Roberts, how can we move forward? Because as you mentioned, we've had this happening every single year in terms of delays in some of the repairs that's happening in the schools. But how can we move forward to ensure that our children are not affected by, something that they can't control?
Well, moving forward, we need to have the culture within Trinidad and Tobago change, and that's not an easy thing to do. And to me, it starts with the same education and educating our people. We have a political system where persons have either a 4 year period or a 5 year period to impress. So we are not getting true sustainable plan where we are working towards the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years because we have a 4 year or 5 year period to impress the people. So unless our population hold our politicians to account, even if we have a million meetings, if they don't sit down and take the hard line and do the things that needs to be done, we're going to have nice submissions every year and we won't have any significant change. So we in ourselves, the people, the tutor, the parents, the business sector, we need to really come and work together, have these meaningful consultation where we hold each other to account. If not, it's going to be a nice soundbite every year that school repair is not ready and the curriculum is not meeting the needs of our students and the crime rate is high because we are all entertained but not so much putting our foot to the pedal and making things happen. So unless we really work together, we're going to continue to have these sound bites.
And it's going to be unfortunate for these students as well. Mr. Roberts, let me thank you so much for joining us this morning. Always a pleasure to have you shed some light on what's taking place in Tobago. And we do hope that the children are not affected too much by these changes. So thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me and our children our very best that the students won't suffer any great deal this term.
Of course. And that was Mr. Bradon Roberts, Tobago officer at TTUTA, just sharing some thoughts on the ongoing repairs at the schools in Tobago. You're on the Now Morning Show, but stay with us because we have so much more up next. It's your birthdays. Stay with us.